Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago. Yes, viewers, it's a rainy morning to start, but we are grateful nonetheless. We are alive and we're well, and we're getting ready and excited about the day ahead. As we continue to give God thanks for life, I am Julian Skeet.
And I am Ria Richardson George, and this is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Trinidad. Those of you viewing in the Caribbean and those of you on the live, good morning to you. How are you doing today?
Yes, indeed. It's a beautiful morning, a rainy morning. In case you're into this kind of weather, just cool, just right. Because, folks, it's going to be either or. We live in the Caribbean, we live in this part of the region. It's either going to be sun or it's going to be rain.
That's right.
Occasionally, it might be in between. But a lot happening in our news space locally and within Trinidad and Tobago nationally. We head on over to news in 90 seconds.
Thank you, Julian and Ria. I am Biana Brebner, and this is your news in 90 seconds for Tuesday, 4th July, courtesy Coconuts Cafe, Ground 4, Port Mall, Scarborough. Trinidad and Tobago is a fitting place to celebrate CARICOM's 50th anniversary, according to the UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres. He applauded the country for its strength and diversity. According to Guterres, the Caribbean is an example of the power of a shared moral voice for global change. While Guterres was at the news conference at the Diplomatic Center in St. Anne's, he commended TNT for initiating the General Assembly Resolution on Women Disarmament, Non-Proliferation and Arms Control, which acknowledged the contribution of women to furthering peace and security. Meanwhile, the UN is working with TNT on a multidimensional vulnerability index to ensure sufficient support is provided in the face of immense external shocks. Beginning on July 24th, Caribbean Airlines will start serving the Eastern Caribbean. New non-stop services between Barbados and St. Vincent as well as St. Lucia will be added. In addition to the 4 additional weekly flights between Barbados and St. Lucia, there will now be 7 weekly flights between Barbados and St. Vincent. These routes will be serviced by the airline's ATR 72 fleet, comprising 9 aircrafts, which further demonstrating its dedication to the connectivity of the region. The Secretary, Assistant Secretary, and Administrator in the Division of Education, Research and Technology extends congratulations to 1,048 students who wrote the C examination in the Tobago Education District. These students had to acclimatize to online learning in their formative years of primary education, which results showed success. Despite reports of high portal traffic as nervous parents checked in to acquire results, all parents were finally able to view their children's C results. Congratulations to all as they transition to secondary level. And that was your news in 90 seconds, brought to you by Coconuts Cafe.
Coconuts Cafe, the buffet restaurant that specializes in all your tasty local dishes. For breakfast and for lunch. Breakfast includes coconut bake and sada roti, served with chokers, bull joil, and sausages in tomato sauce. Not forgetting beef and cheese pies, shepherd's pie, macaroni pie, and rice in various styles. Meat served in a variety of flavors, garden salads, and pasta salads. All this accompanied by fruit juices, coconut water, your choice of a great combination to appease your taste buds. So call us today to order, as we are here to accommodate your busy schedules or if you are having a cooking day off.
Welcome back, viewers. As we continue this morning, we head straight on into our birthday shout-outs, courtesy KFC.
This is your birthday shoutouts on Tobago Updates, sponsored by KFC.
Okay, and we celebrate this morning We celebrate a birthday today, and this is the lovely birthday greeting going out to Edwina Basila Joseph, better known as Tanti V. The message is, you have been a beacon of hope and grace in my life. Without you, I wouldn't be able to walk today. You stood by me when no one else would, and still to this day, you still are at my side. I thank God for you and all that you've done. Thank God for adding another year of life at the age of 76 years today. Strong. Happy birthday, Mom, and will forever love you from Nikosi, the boss. Ha ha, ha ha ha. And this is Nikosi Phillips sending birthday greetings out to his mom today. Happy birthday going out to you. And we understand it is the birthday of Vanilla Allen Toppin as she celebrates today. Happy birthday going out to you, dear lady, and greetings as well from Nikosi, and lots of love to you from all of us here at Tobago Updates.
And we have a birthday shout out going out to Onika Blackman. Onika Blackman, we're wishing you a happy, happy birthday coming from the entire Tobago Updates family. We trust that you continue to enjoy the celebrations.
Birthday shoutouts on Tobago Updates, sponsored by KFC.
From the experts that created the Zinger sandwich comes the KFC Crispy Barbecue Zinger.
The only one I see is you.
Cheddar cheese, crispy onions, the most delicious Kentucky Fried Chicken, and barbecue sauce. Get ready for a whole new level of flavor.
Welcome back, viewers and listeners, to the Tobago Updates morning show. In this segment, we head straight on into Tobago in Focus.
Mediation is used as an alternative to litigation through the use of an impartial moderator and communication and negotiation techniques. The Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection established its mediation unit in 2009 and has steadily expanded. The unit, equipped with 2 certified mediators, has since settled several matters, including landlord and tenant issues, merchant-customer disputes, property and land, parenting, and even issues regarding the running of traditional susus. Assistant Coordinator at the Mediation Unit, Carol Spencer Edwards, further explains.
We deal with family and relationship disputes, neighborhood conflicts, community disputes, juvenile conflicts. So the range of issues are there, and as I said, we try to offer persons that option as against going to the court.
Ms. Spencer Edwards revealed a high success rate between 70 and 75%, noting that a large part of the unit's success lies with the process, as persons are allowed to speak freely in a safe and comfortable environment.
Quite often the issues that they deal with or that they're dealing with is not out of the ballpark. It's right. Just that maybe sometimes not able to sit and express themselves, and sometimes you need somebody there to say, here's what, let's start with, or hold up, give her a minute, or hold up, give him a minute. Right. You know.
The recent addition of a therapeutic counseling unit manned by 8 counselors has further expanded services, including a crisis hotline, parenting workshop, grief counseling, life skill coaching, marriage counseling, and learning enrichment programs. Services can be accessed through its walk-in services or by referral.
Yes, good morning, viewers, and welcome back. Ria, I just wanted to share this morning some photos up on screen to send out my congratulations. Certainly had me busy in the evening part of yesterday. My congratulations to the graduating class of 2023. These preschoolers from Signal Hill Early Childhood Care and Education Center. Want to say kudos and commendations indeed, Principal Auntie Nadine and the entire teaching, the entire staff, support staff, teaching staff, administrative staff. Really a wonderful evening was had yesterday celebrating with these students. I had the opportunity to do the feature presentation with the children and the parents. Excellent, and kudos to our boys and girls. And I take the opportunity, and this was a very nice song that our boys and girls would have done, and I really want to say kudos and commendations to them. As I said to the parents yesterday, and it's a reminder generally to all of us as parents, the promise of our children to be successful, guided by God, I'm very confident in. It is the responsibility of the parents to provide that kind of support and guidance every step of the way. And I say congratulations and kudos going out to the Signal Hill Early Childhood. An exceptional job, and certainly looking forward to continued great results. As these students said excitedly yesterday, Ria, we are off to primary school.
And I'm looking at those photos and I'm reminded of my background. My background is in early childhood education. But that was so beautiful, and congratulations as well to all those boys and girls, or young men and young women moving on to secondary level education. So those who would have written the SCA exam earlier this year, and they would have received their results yesterday, albeit it may have taken a while to get onto the system, because I understand there was some issues with the online or the virtual access this year. But congratulations to all of you. Anaya, Patrick, my niece, going out there, really happy for you guys. Congratulations to all of you boys and girls.
So we certainly are looking forward, and we send from my entire family, the entire Tobago Updates family, sending our congratulations to all these students and young people. That promise for continued success. Folks, let's continue to play that collective role. It's not just about the child that you are responsible for, but it's about every child that comes within your care and within your scope, if we're going to build, a better society and a better Tobago indeed. So again, kudos and commendations to our young persons, our children and our young persons out there, really making us proud. And it takes us right into our rundown this morning, because we are sending out kudos and commendations as it relates to the CA examination and the results that came out yesterday. And this morning, we will have the opportunity to speak with Minister of Education, the Honorable Dr. Nayan Gatsby-Dolly. So we look forward to those discussions in our rundown this morning.
And we continue the discussion this morning, chatting with Keith Johnson and Nedra Stewart. And they both represent Dance Ensemble Tobago, and it's all about dancing with the Caribbean stars.
All right, and this morning we'll also be hearing from Robin Gale, and she's the Sales and Marketing Manager at Ecliff Eli Limited. And we're speaking about Spotlight on Youth Potential. So we look forward to those upcoming discussions this morning. All right, viewers. Ria, I almost said there, Auntie Ria.
And I would have responded.
All right, viewers, we want to thank you so much for the continued love and support, and for continuing to choose the Tobago Updates morning show. At this point, we head on out to just a quick break, and we want to remind you that this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning.
Are you flood ready? Monitor trusted sources for info. Wear protective gear when you clean up. Contact your insurance provider to assess the damage. An initiative to help people prevent, prepare, recover. TATIL, where people are people.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up below. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show. Live more.
smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago. We just at about 7:13 a.m. this morning, and it gives us great pleasure to certainly welcome, coming up in this segment, Dr. Nyan Gatsby-Dolly, Minister of Education, as we look forward to discussing matters related to the C examination results, which would have come out yesterday. Certainly a happy and enjoyable time for most, if not all. Good morning to you, Minister.
Good morning.
Good
I hope
morning.
you're hearing me well.
Yes, we're hearing you clearly.
All right,
Good
so as we
morning.
get the
Good morning to you.
conversation started this morning, we were able to see the release and information coming out from the Ministry of Education, seeking to give some confirmations with the statistics for 2023. And it seems like we're on the upward trajectory in terms of students in that above 50% and that above 90%. And gratefully so, lower numbers in that category with the below 30%. Let's get your perspective as we start there as a Minister of Education coming out of a pandemic period with what we are now experiencing in terms of the success of our students.
Well, of course, it is very heartening for the ministry because it speaks to our student achievement. And that's been one of the pillars of our efforts to ensure that our students are doing well, that our schools are doing well. So it was, difficult for us to see the effects of the pandemic on our student performance. And we were happy to see for the students, the teachers, and their parents that they have been able, with the year back at physical school, to be able to pull these grades up. We also would have instituted the after-school program in 8 of our primary schools in Trinidad, and that was to assist. So we had the standard 3, 4, and 5 students of 80 primary schools that needed the most support. We were offering free after-school tuition in these classes. And, we are happy. And that all of that was in the effort to give this kind of result at the end of the day.
Minister, good morning, and it's good to have you in the program. We want to get your thoughts this morning on the use of the SCA portal this time around for parents and teachers and principals to access, to have been able to access the results. Usually it happens at the school, the parents, of course, there's some traffic and maybe some controversy, but this year the ministry decided to go digital. Your thoughts on the use of the portal and some of what we saw happening yesterday where the system seemed to have crashed and some parents were not able to access the portal until later in the evening, causing some level of frustration to parents and students. Your thoughts?
I'm very happy that the IT department, I want to give my kudos to our IT department, as well as our communications department, for allowing us to transition successfully to a digital portal. So we have moved from a paper-based system of results to a digital system of results. It is normal and natural with any online results portal, if anybody's used the CXC portal, that at the time of release, there's going to be some traffic. So you're going to have those delays, you're going to have those refreshes and so on. In fact, the results were actually available from just around 11 a.m. The time of release was 12. So we saw persons able to access their results early. There was usual traffic around 12 to maybe quarter past, 20 past 12, maybe about 25 past 12. That would be time of traffic. And then after that, as less persons were on the side, you saw less delays and so on. So I was getting from as early as after 11, 12:30, all going there, videos of persons in their homes getting their own results in the privacy of their homes. I was monitoring, I was getting all of the feedback and so on. So I really want to thank our staff, the staff of the Ministry of Education, for what has been a successful transition. And of course, this is all part of our digital transformation at the Ministry of Education, moving our processes and our systems from the paper-based to the digital, which allows us a lot more flexibility and comes at a considerable decrease in costs as well. I mean, we would have been at the stage where we were printing almost 19,000 result slips, packaging those, transporting them to schools. Parents would then have to go into the schools to collect. So it's also a considerable cost and much more efficient in this way.
Minister, as you speak to the greater use of technology, I'm interested in getting the perspective, of the Ministry of Education when it comes to moving our classrooms in a digital direction. We saw the situation where it is when COVID came upon us, very sudden as a country, as a world, in fact, and it was very clear that our education system was not as prepared and as ready. We have since reverted to back in the face-to-face, which of course is the ideal circumstance. But given where we are heading, given our future perspective with understanding and having an appreciation for that digital classroom, what kind of efforts are being made on the part of the Ministry of Education as it relates to policy and direction to incorporate this in some way, form, or fashion from as early as now? Even if on a minor scale, one day in the month, giving it a trial one day a week, to really insist and to find a pathway so that down the road, should we have any such circumstances with disruptions in face-to-face, our students who are able to have that kind of access will still be able to benefit. And this also ties into the thrust of your government through the minister with regards for digitalization and so on in terms of that move in that direction.
The best mix is the physical attendance that is tied in with the digital use of pedagogy. And so that is why the ministry has been in the last academic year, we would have gone through the outfitting of all of the secondary schools, both Trinidad and Tobago, with Wi-Fi capability. So that project took place and that was completed. This year, we have just received the approval and we're working with iGovTT, which is our partner in this, to provide the primary schools with the Wi-Fi access. So that's another project. So it's right now in the tendering stages. So that is, of course, the thrust to ensure that are we to experience something related to COVID or any other thing that interrupts physical attendance at school, which happens from time to time, even with general infrastructural issues, that there is an organized platform for students and teachers to go into. So teachers must have an e-classroom. So along with providing devices, when we are just going to take possession of about 8,000 more, which we will use to help students who do not have devices and are in a position that they can't easily access them. We've done the outfitting of the secondary schools. We are setting about the outfitting of the primary schools for Wi-Fi capability. And we also are working simultaneously on the school management system and the school learning management system. So those systems are where the actual student data is being put onto a digital platform so that there is digital management of our student records. That is the basis of us being able to have an e-classroom or e-classrooms that are organized and hosted by the Ministry of Education. So all of these projects are part of our digital transformation efforts that are actually ongoing. So there are quite a number of schools that already, their records are already on. We've had to hire a firm to help us put on some of the others and some of the larger schools. And so we are steadily moving in that direction in Trinidad to put our school records, our student records online. So the situation is that once we have that, then we will have our e-classroom. So we have about 70 schools now that are testing out the SLMS platform. We formed after the COVID, we have formed an educational technology unit at the Ministry of Education. That did not exist before. So that was our immediate response to the situation of COVID and doing exactly as you just said, preparing ourselves so that if it happens again, we have an organized system. What happened before was the emergency system of response. So every school would have, done their part and went on to whatever platform they had. We would want an organized response that has more capability than simply an e-classroom that can store our student records, and we can run reports from that kind of system when term exams go on and so on. These are valuable reports that can be run, but they can only be done when those systems are in place. So it's a huge project to do that, because you would have noticed our tertiary education institutions, they weren't caught flat-footed because they had an e-classroom system. All of them had. However, you're speaking on a scale of 3,000 and 6,000 persons. If we are for an e-classroom system for the country, or at least for Trinidad, you are speaking about upwards of 200,000 students. So it's a lot more complex, and so it's really a large task, but we are well on the way to implementation. and we are working on that.
All right. Now, even as we look at the e-classroom and our education system moving to a paperless platform, can we also expect to see the books being online, the textbooks being online, and students being able to access them from there within the school system? Or do we still have to, or are we still going to continue with the heavy school bags and the trolley bags that some parents have to be hunting all over Trinidad and Tobago or going ordering online for because of how heavy these textbooks are? Are we going to also see the education system in Trinidad and Tobago move towards having all of the textbooks online?
Well, I'm happy to report that, again, iGovTT, that's our partner in this, they are actually in the evaluation discussions with ebook providers because we would have received approval some time ago. We had gone to Cabinet, we received approval, we went through the process of tendering, and now we are going through those defined discussions with the providers to select an ebook provider for Trinidad and Tobago. So again, part of our digital transformation program that is ongoing, and we hope that we will have something very soon to offer to the national public.
Minister Gasvidoli, as for the constitutional and THA requirement, we know that according to the Act, the Division of Education in Tobago has direct responsibility. But from where you sit as Minister of Education, tell us a little bit about that working relationship with the Tobago House of Assembly and the Secretary with responsibility for the Division of Education, so as to ensure that Trinidad and Tobago is deriving maximum benefit from our education system.
Oh, we have a very good working relationship filled with mutual respect. We understand where the boundary lies, but we collaborate on as many initiatives as possible so that both Trinidad and Tobago students have the benefit of those initiatives. And certainly, wherever we can assist Tobago with their thrust, we are willing to do that because this is about our nation, our children. So we have a very good working professional relationship.
All right. Minister, one of the things we've moved away from in recent times is the recognition of outstanding students, given what was a legal matter at the time. Is there any plans by the Ministry of Education to look at what might be a more longer-term solution rather than what appeared to have been a short-term fix to simply stop announcing and stop identifying the students, perhaps spreading it a little wider to identify the top student in every zone in Trinidad and Tobago versus one top student for Trinidad and Tobago? Any thoughts with reviewing that policy altogether?
The SCA is a placement exam. And so a student would choose the schools that they want to attend to, and they would and they would be placed on the basis of their results. And that is what we want to ensure happens. And once that happens, we don't want, along with that, what seemed to be taking place. We speak all the time about the pressure of SCA. And part of the pressure is this recognition. And what it has led to is something that is wholly unhealthy. The SCA is a placement exam. And yet what we are getting from students, even students who have placed for their first choice, which means that they have achieved what they set out to achieve, is this this extra hunger for recognition and for being first, and it really has led to some unhealthy type of responses. Some students who should be happy about what they've been able to achieve and are not happy, even though they have achieved the objective, because they didn't come first or they didn't come second. And we speak about the pressure of SCA, and I want us to just consider that there are children who do so well and yet are so depressed because of this ranking system. That isn't healthy for our country. And as much as some of us speak about SCA and doing away with SCA, it is really the pressure of SCA on our students that we want to do away with. And so you'd have seen a general thrust by the ministry to de-escalate this ranking and this who is better than whom and which school is better than which. You'd have seen that effort along the way. Even when we still had recognition, we had opened it up to looking at a more inclusive type of view. So the students would have done the best coming from our schools, special schools and so on. But even so, there was still this very negative connotation associated with the success of our students. And it comes from that ranking. And, it really was filtering into so many different things. I'm sure you'd have seen the discussion, and it involved race. It involved, geographic location. It really was getting very nasty. And that's not the purpose of SCA. The purpose of SCA is to place our students, and therefore we can do that quite adequately without, putting emphasis on this ranking that was bringing all of this negativity into the examination and into our 11 and 12-year-old students. And at this time, there's no thought about reforming that and looking at the zone. No, our students are getting their results. Schools are doing their part as students leave in their graduation ceremonies to give recognition to students who would have been doing well in the schools. And we think that is recognition that is enough for our students as they move into their secondary school life.
So it continues at each of the respective high schools because they would have access to the collective information.
The primary schools
at the primary schools. At the primary schools.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes. And it won't be just the SCA. At the graduation level, the school would know the students that have been performing well all the time. And this is what we we encourage at. Celebrate our students and parents. When your children do well, celebrate them. But this national recognition was having unintended negative consequences.
Okay, so is it that we will no longer continue with the recognition of the top SCA student?
Well, that has been the trend in Trinidad we did that last year and we continue this year.
Okay.
We congratulate all
Minister,
of us.
even as we look at the SCA, and you mentioned a little while ago that it is a placement exam, is it that the ministry will continue on with SCA? Because I know quite recently there was some discussions concerning abandoning the SCA and finding another means of placement for Standard 5 students into the secondary system. Will the ministry continue? Will the Ministry of Education continue with SCA or revert to some other type of placement system?
Well, the discussion that was led by the committee appointed by the Prime Minister was not about abolishing the SCA. It was actually taking a look at the SCA and other options and getting from consultation with stakeholders to determine what was the best way forward. So it was not one saying, okay, the position was not that we are abolishing SCA and we want to see what's next. It was really taking a close look at all that is happening, including the SCA process. And they would have come with some recommendations. The Cabinet appointed a subcommittee that took a look at their recommendations and made recommendations back to the Cabinet on it. So that is going to come to the Cabinet very soon. And then the country will be apprised of what were the recommendations of that committee that was appointed by the Prime Minister to take a look at our situation.
Right, Minister Gatsby-Dolly, your closing comments as we wrap this morning's interview.
I just want to congratulate all of our students who are going to make that transition to the secondary school level. I'm going to say to parents, there are some students who may have had to resit, and sometimes this distresses parents, and understandably so. But it is an opportunity for your child to have another chance at gaining valuable skills at the primary school level. And so we encourage you to take a look at it after the emotions have subsided. Take a look at it as a chance for your child, not as they have to resit. And support your child through that journey as well. And I also want to encourage parents of students who would have done and they are going on to secondary school, but they do need to beef up their math, their English, and their writing skills, that the vacation revision program is on, and they can get more information from their principals. There's also going to be information on the ministry's social media platforms about registering their children for the vacation revision program. This year it's expanded, so it's a secondary school, so students who are transitioning to secondary school, and it's also taking place in 80 primary schools in Trinidad for standard 3, 4, and 5 students.
Minister? All right, we've just lost the connection there, but thank you very much, Minister, Dr. the Honorable Nyan Gatsby-Dolly, for joining us here on the Tobago Updates morning show as we spoke to the C results coming out yesterday and the perspective of the Ministry of Education going forth. All right, viewers, coming up next, we will be chatting with Keith Johnson and Nedra Stewart, representing Dance Ensemble Tobago, as we speak Dancing with the Caribbean Stars. So viewers, will remind you that this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Full disclosure with the executive every Thursday at 8 p.m. only on Tobago Updates. Real questions and honest conversations with the sole aim of keeping you fully in the know. Full disclosure with the executive every Thursday at 8 p.m. only on Tobago Updates.
Are you flood ready? Review and update insurance coverage. Install floodgates and barriers. Create a family flood plan. An initiative to help people prevent, prepare, recover. TATL, where people are people.
The best place to stay in Tobago is at Thorn's Place, with rates starting as low as 200 TT. Call or WhatsApp 745-7306 or 682-8676. We are located uptown Scarborough, 5 minutes away from the port. Remember, at Thorn's Place, our aim is to make your stay safe and affordable.
Are you flood ready? Recycle and properly dispose of large waste. Avoid sweeping yard clippings or trash into drains. Plant trees to avoid soil erosion. An initiative to help people prevent, prepare, recover. TATL, where people are people.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
It's a different type of thing down there. Man, we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning.
Dance Ensemble Tobago presents the return July 8th, 2023 from 5 p.m. Dance Sport Championship and Dancing with Caribbean Stars 10th edition at the Shore Park Complex, representing for 2023 THA Assemblyman Natisha Charles Pantin. Rise and Shine Morning Show host Robert B. Former host of Let's Talk Tobago, Avian Parks. Lady Morge of Pulse 89.5 FM, Cara Vaughan of Freedom 106.5 FM, Michelle Borrell of 107.7 FM. For more information, contact Tobago Danceport at gmail.com or Miss N White 772-9049 or Miss N Dick 340-5758. Admission only $150. Children only $75 at the door. Tickets available at D&D Jeweler, Tobago United Corporate, Milford 24 Gas Station, Crown Point, Tobago, and Dance Ensemble. Class members after party from 10 p.m. till midnight. Don't you miss this one.
Dancing with the Caribbean Stars, and that's just one aspect of it. Viewers, welcome back this morning to the Tobago Updates morning show. We are chatting with Keith Johnson, Assistant Head Tutor for Dance Ensemble Tobago, and Nidra Stewart, who's the Secretary of the Dance Ensemble. And this morning, viewers, it's Dancing with the Caribbean Stars. Ladies, gentlemen, good morning and welcome to you.
Good morning, Rhea. Nice to be here.
It's really good to have you. Now, let's start with Dance Ensemble. Now, Nidra, this is one aspect of it. But give us an idea this morning of what Dance Ensemble's mission really is.
All right, so Dance Ensemble is a professional organization that has its genesis in the 1980s, actually. So we are 30 plus years old. Our main objectives really is the promotion of social and competitive ballroom dancing in Tobago. We are run by a 10-man executive, and we also have a 10-man tutors body, and our tutors are professionally trained. They have their associate in ballroom and Latin dancing from the International Dance Teachers Association, and they also have American style dancing from DeVita as well. All right, so we have classes for both the youths and adults. Our children's class is at Signal Secondary School at 2:30 on a Saturday, and later that same Saturday we have our adult class at 4:30 p.m.
So for someone like Julian Skeet, who can only chip, if he were to decide at this stage, this time of his life to start taking up dance classes, there's hope for him.
Yes, there is.
Okay,
there's hope for anyone.
Good. All right. So let's talk. We're here with the assistant head tutor. Now, I've seen this gentleman on the court. I've seen him on the dance floor, and his walk is very different from his dance. And when he hits the dance floor, it's a different style, a different posture, different everything. Keith Johnson, tell us what it takes for you to take an individual from novice stage to championship level.
Well, basically, you take them on the floor, you take your time, you walk up the step, you break it down piece by piece by piece, and you bring them up to that level. One of the things that you have to understand is that we as we are Afro-West Indian, we had the rhythm to bring, and we're going to bring that dancing out of you. You know, people have natural talent. So in order for you have to harness that talent, and you will not know that you could be a professional dancer, but by constant practice, that will bring out we use the 4-stage method, motivation, right? Demonstration, practice, and you do an evaluation.
Right.
So you take it down piece by piece and step by step. So that is one of the exercises how we take it down.
All right. So let's talk about Dancing with the Caribbean Stars. Now, we saw during the video that the stars have been selected. How were the stars selected?
All right. Basically, we approached several persons. Only those who would accept the challenge would, of course, be part of the show. We just look for prominent persons in society, not just Tobago.
Okay.
Some of those stars that you just saw, 2 of them are actually from Trinidad. Right? If we look back at the history of this segment of the dance sport, we started in 2018, and back then our first place winner was ASP, Joanne Archie. Second place winner was Minister Shamfa Kajou. And then we had Adana. Back then was Princess Adana, what's her name? Right. And then in 2019, we had the second aspect of it, and that was won by the person you were just interviewing, Dr. Nyan Gatsby Dolly. Right. Second place that year was Oscar B.
and third was Liz Williams, right? So this is our third segment. Of course, the pandemic would have stopped us from having it. So this is the third segment. But dance sport in itself, this is the 10th edition, and it's aptly dubbed this year The Return.
The Return. And this is after the pandemic, yes?
Yes, first one after the pandemic, yeah.
Okay, so give us an idea now. And the Dancing with the Caribbean Stars, as you mentioned, is one aspect of it. So what are some of the other aspects?
All right, so we have competitions from the very, very small ones, pre-juveniles, all the way up to adult. We have performance category. We have group categories for line dances. So there are segments for Latin and ballroom dancing, club dancing, and line dancing. So all that competition takes place as well. The Dancing with Caribbean Stars is just one aspect of the dance sport, but it's the highlight.
Okay, but all of this, and Keith, you can come in here. All of this is happening on the same day, same night, yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
And we have a party after.
Yes, there's an after party where we have two DJs, CHC Songs from Tobago and DJ Santa. Santa would have been the person who would have partnered Dr. Nyan Gatsby Dolly that year, and he's bringing members of his dance school as well. So there are schools from Trinidad that will be competing in the various categories.
Okay. Now, who, of course, when the stars are performing, who are the dance tutors, trainees, the recognized dancers who are going to be dancing with them? Maybe you can tell us here.
Well, we have my Mr. Charles,
Louis Charles.
Tutor, Louis Charles. We also have Bernard Sandy. Okay. We also have Miss Anne-Marie
Bishop
James. She tutoring
Brother B. Yeah. So we choose mostly experienced dancers or tutors to partner these persons. Yeah.
Okay. And do we get to see? Do we just see them perform on the night? Do we get to see the background shots?
Yes, all of that is part of it. We try to mimic the Dancing with the Stars that you see on television, but we just put our little added flair to it. Yeah.
But that will be shown on the night.
Yes, it would be shown.
Not before.
No, not before. You see it on the screen there, some of the rigors they would have gone through to get to the point that they are. Now, Mr. Johnson did not mention that he is partnering one of the stars.
I wondered. He didn't even mention his name. He mentioned several others.
Right, so he's partnering Lady Moje of Pulse 89.5.
Right.
Yes, so he's partnering her.
You left yourself up, Mr. Johnson.
No, I leave that for last. I was going to mention. Yours truly.
Okay. Okay, he said he left it for last on purpose. On purpose. All right, so that's coming up. Remind us of when it's coming up.
All right, so it's this Saturday, the 8th of July at 5 p.m. at the Shaw Park Cultural Complex. Right, the first time we at that venue, we usually would have had it at Signal Hill Secondary School, but we're at Shaw Park this year. More parking, it's air conditioned and everything. So we encourage everyone to come out, support your stars, and have a good time. Of course, there's the after party afterwards.
Right, and where are the tickets available?
All right, so tickets are available at D&D Jewelers, Milford 24 Gas Station, Tobago United Cooperative, and Dance and Psalm class members.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the program with us this morning. I'm certainly looking forward to that. And that is Dance Ensemble, dancing with in fact, it's dance sport. All right, it's dance sport and it's the return.
Yes, it is.
All right. So thank you again for being on the program. All the best to you guys. Certainly we want to see what's happening up with that. We've got some stars there. We want to see them perform. We certainly do.
Can I just make a plug?
Yes.
So next year we could ask Ria to be one of our stars. That's your face.
Very interesting.
Very interesting
So
indeed.
preempting the committee and extending that invitation to you to be one of our stars next year.
I'll go with Mr. Johnson's closing remark. Very interesting. Very interesting. So thank you guys for being on the program with us this morning. Viewers, lots more coming up this morning on the Tobago Updates Morning Show. So share the live, share the live, share the live.
Jimmy's Holiday Resorts has 1, 2, and 3 bedroom, fully self-contained apartments located at the heart of Crown Point. Minutes walk to the popular beaches, restaurants, bars, and the airport. Enjoy our amazing amenities such as fully equipped apartments, complete with Wi-Fi, AC, TV, and a pool, and a mini-mart on the compound. Call 639-8292 or 8929. Jimmy's Holiday Resorts is your family's home away from home.
Right now, Tobagonians are just currying down to Bonaccord, right in Stobie Local Road. You know why? To come down and shop at Authentic Builders General Hardware, the only hardware store in Tobago that is giving you guys Trinidad prices. So for instance, such as steel, 1/2 inch and 5/8, $7,895. 5/8 construction ply for $260. Every single thing that you will need to do your home renovation or start your new construction, we have it right here. And to get your quotation, it's very easy. Just WhatsApp us at 272-1990 and we will do your free WhatsApp quotation for you.
Advertise with Tobago Updates. Call 284-6597. If you have a small or large business, we can get your information in front of the masses. Reach our rapidly growing viewership on Facebook and YouTube. Promote your brand in Trinidad and the Caribbean through M&E TV Now and Gayel. Yes, we can build unique ads for your business. Call now 284-6597 and advertise with us.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your lights can't get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. Don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry. If your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. If sickness catch you off guard. I tell them never ever worry. If times fall on you real hard. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil will always be here for you.
Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
Tapicom. Welcome to the future. The only card you will need in a new world. Digital business cards. Safe, hassle-free. The future is here. Tapicom. New generation digital transfer. Digital time clock cards. Digital attendance cards. Air tags. Customized designs. Digital clothing tags. Digital pet tags. Tapicom. The future is here. Contact us today.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning.
Viewers, welcome back this morning to the Tobago Updates morning show. Just before we get into our next interview, we've got a quick birthday to send out, and that birthday is going out this morning to. That birthday is going out to Shanique Hall from her mom, Chazelle Hills, her dad, Sean Hall, her grandmom, Cheryl Clark, and the rest of the family. And today she is celebrating 10 years. So happy birthday going out to you this morning, Shanique Hall, and we trust that you have a great one today. All right, and we're going to switch gears here as we focus this morning on Robin Gale, who is the sales and marketing manager of Ecliff Eli Limited. And this morning, the focus is on Spotlight on Youth Potential. Good morning and welcome to Robin Gale.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. It's good to have you on the program. Before we get into things here, Robin, give us an idea of Eclipse Eli and the brand itself, and on what it is you actually offer.
Okay, sure.
I'm not sure. Our guys are sorting it out. And I guess we're going to be back with her shortly.
Happening there in the mix. But I'm certainly looking forward to this highlight as we speak. Eclipse Eli and taking on what I consider to be that greater social responsibility. My understanding, Spotlight on Youth Potential, an initiative of the menswear brand is focused on supporting male high school graduates of 2023. So we're really looking forward to hearing about that initiative.
Yeah, and certainly. And I saw there were several other entities throughout Tobago this year that focused on supporting students who wanted to, were willing to, but just could not afford to graduate for 2023. Okay, I think she's back with us.
All right, so good morning again and welcome to you, Robin Gill, joining us as Sales and Marketing Manager of Eclipse Eli.
Yes.
All right, so this morning we're speaking about the Spotlight, and Ria was just asking, tell us a little bit about the brand in terms of Eclipse Eli before we dive into this very noble initiative.
Of course, Eclipse Eli is a menswear brand. We focus on making custom suits for men, as well as we have a selection of retail off-the-rack suits, as well as accessories and a resort wear line as well. Eclipse Eli Limited was actually founded by Mr. Eclipse Eli, who is the managing director and the creative director at the brand. He's what we call the master tailor. So we focus on making sure that our men, all of our customers, get that custom fit that is what will help propel their confidence, what will help propel their self-image that they want for any special event that may require a suit for. So it might be for a wedding, for a graduation, it might be because they need it for work, or they might be a celebrity performer and their onstage persona is important to them. That is where Eclipse Eli would come in terms of helping you master your wardrobe to reflect your personality as well as to enhance your unique body type.
All right. The Spotlight on Youth Potential, an initiative of the menswear brand Eclipse Eli, supporting male high school graduates 2023. Tell us about this initiative.
Yes, we are. So what we wanted to do, this initiative actually started last year. 2023, it will be the second installment. What we wanted to do is to, as you said, support the young graduates, the young male graduates as they journey into that second phase or that new phase in life by assisting in their suit for their graduation. So what we would have done, we would have approached schools and let them know that the students, the graduating students, would be able to get a discount from our brand for our custom suits, and it was a sizable discount. They would have gotten 27 to 30% off from the custom suits. And for the schools that have decided to partner with us, we went a step further. We said, hey, send in your nominees for the student, the most outstanding student in that year group who would have excelled in terms of academics, in terms of extracurricular activities. Let us know about them and give us the opportunity to be able to outfit the young man head to toe in Eclipse Eli wardrobe, as well as pay for his graduation ticket. And we also wanted to make a contribution towards the school as well. So this is something that we launched in Trinidad and also in Tobago. And we have selected one particular school from Tobago that had an overwhelming response to the Spotlight on Youth Potential, and so we were able to award their nominee as well, their student, which would be called the Outstanding Student in the Spotlight for Youth Potential campaign.
Give us an idea of what this initiative does for that young man. The focus on boys and on men is really underrated. We tend to concentrate so much more on the girls and the women. But what is this initiative targeting young men? What does it do for them, their confidence? What does it do for the way they walk? What does it do for them on a whole?
So the young men, they would experience luxury and dress in the Eclipse Eli way. So when it is they come to the brand, to any one of our stores, they would experience exactly what a C-suite professional would experience when they come to Ecliphi, exactly what the celebrities will experience when they come to Ecliphi. We will roll out the red carpet treatment for these young men to get that sense of pride and self-worth instilled in them from this very young age, and also to help to encourage them to actually to motivate them to think about what they expect for themselves in the future as grown men, what they would like for themselves, how they would like to represent themselves in their different careers. So they would come in, they would have a conversation with our stylist who will sit and guide them through the selection process, discuss with them the events, how they would like to look, share tips with them in terms of fashion and image and so on, so that they can create and craft the best suit that will best represent them now, and also something they'll be proud of looking back at 2023. So we want to allow the young men to experience the things that men in our society are experiencing that these young men probably wouldn't have the opportunity to experience because of their age and because of where they are in life. So it's like a stepping stone or a seed that we want to plant in their minds, that they are worthy, that they have a bright future ahead of them, that they should pay attention to how they look and how they dress from now, and use the learnings to be able to, use it as a motivation moving forward as they go into the new stage, the new cycle that they'll be heading out into, whatever stage that might be.
Robin, we certainly can't miss this opportunity to highlight the outstanding students selected from Tobago and the school that stands in focus. And by the time you're doing this again next year, you'll have several more participating. In fact, you might have to come to Tobago with more than one. All right, so tell us about the outstanding student and school selected.
Okay, so it is our honor to be able to say today that we have selected Signal Hill Secondary as our winner for today. So we're extremely proud of the young men, and also we just want to thank the teachers, the faculty that would have been involved in propelling this initiative. And the young man that was chosen and selected by the faculty was a young man named Sheldon, and I want to give him huge congratulations on behalf of the brand. So he would have recently gone into our Crown Point Tobago location and would have met him and his mother. They would have met with our stylist there, and they would have gone through the different options for his graduation. I believe his graduation was last night, actually. So I'm awaiting the footage, the photos as well, yeah, and also his feedback in terms of how he felt, and to really have a conversation with his mother as well to find out how this has really impacted him. Because I remember as a child, as a teenager, anytime I would have gotten any kind of recognition or award from the generations ahead of us, whether it be in school or whether it be from a company, like a corporate company, it really did something for me in terms of telling me I can do this. I have been doing something that people are proud of, and I want to continue on along that road. So the young men need to have things that they can reflect on and know that an entire company, an entire regional brand is behind this young man, is behind Sheldon, is behind that school, behind Signal Hill, and use that every time they might have maybe a down moment or a moment where they might be doubting themselves, to remind themselves that they are heading somewhere, and that society is looking on, at the Cliffy is looking on, at the generations ahead of them are looking on and encouraging and supporting. So I want to find out from his mom about that, if she has seen any change in terms of his confidence.
Most definitely, and I stand to be corrected here, but even though the graduation may have been yesterday, I think the dinner should be coming up on Wednesday.
It's Wednesday.
Wednesday. So we are certainly looking forward to seeing those pictures as well. Certainly he's going to be up on screen, and we will be congratulating him. I'd love to see the before and after pics. I'm hoping that's what we do.
It's like I tell my students, no pressure at all. But Sheldon, Signal Hill Secondary, you are the outstanding one here in this year's Youth Spotlight Initiative by Ecliphi. So as we prepare to wrap this morning's interview, tell us very quickly again, to remind our viewers, those particularly who are based in Tobago. We know that you would have had the grand opening of your store earlier on in this year. Just remind us again of contact information and reaching out to the outlet.
Oh, sure. We launched our Tobago location in February of this year, and it is located in Crown Point, so it is right next to Republic Bank. We are open from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Saturday.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for chatting with us this morning. And that is Robin Gale. It's a pleasure, certainly a pleasure chatting with you. And we're certainly looking
Thank
forward to these
you.
picks coming up a little bit later on in the week.
Yes,
All
yes.
the
Thank
best
you
to you.
very much.
Thank you so much again for joining us here on the Tobago Updates morning show, continuing to bring you the information. And as I said from the very start, Ecliff Eli, both the brand and the man, continuing to ensure that they take on that social responsibility to be able to give back. And, you know, this really follows through from the conversations that we would have had from when he came on to the show earlier on, giving that commitment to doing more than just the business, more than just the business to be able to give back. And I think it sends a very good message because we see broadly Ecliff has been able to enjoy a great level of success regionally, internationally, and so on, and taking that opportunity to give back. And I think it also sends a good signal to our very own outstanding stylists and persons right here in Tobago, taking their brand at the national and regional level. I'm really showing that there is a broader market for what we provide in Tobago and, in fact, Trinidad and Tobago. But viewers, we are just about out of time, and we got to leave it there. And I certainly couldn't miss the opportunity. Quick shout outs: Sharon, Godfrey, Vern, Gail, Brenda, Otis, Terry Trinidad in the mix, Selma Lashley, June Abraham, Lisa James, Debbie Watson, David Elliott, QK Melville. Shout outs to each and every one of you. We want to say thank you so much for continuing to choose the Tobago Updates morning show. Ria?
All right, and we can leave it right there. We want to thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
TTAL representatives recently participated in the Caribbean Travel Marketplace in Barbados, as well as Caribbean Week in New York. Chief Executive Officer of the agency, Alicia Edwards, says that events of this nature hosted by the Caribbean Tourism Organization help Destination Tobago achieve its tourist arrival objectives.
It's all part of the ongoing recovery and pivot strategy for the agency. Post-COVID, there is a need to reconnect and to re-engage with our partners in various markets. And because the agency has decided that the USA is going to be a new and emerging market for us, it's an important part of the actions that we have to take in terms of building out the potential of that market. What the data has been saying is that while arrivals and the potential of the UK market is flattening out, there is increased upswing and uptick in the US market. In fact, Tobago may be one of the last Caribbean islands to actually jump on formally into the US market, and we think it's time that the agency spread its eggs further and do what it has to do in the USA.
What are the other techniques, strategies that you all are going to be using to attract more US tourists to the island?
Besides us going out, we actually bring persons to the island. So we recently had a media press trip. We had persons from the US and Canada visited Tobago. We took them to some of our iconic spots. Some of the activities they were involved in include water sports. They also visited 3 different types of accommodation that they were really excited about. And of course, we gave them that Tobago feeling in terms of you come like a visitor where you leave like a local. They're really excited about those experiences, so to be able to go back and write about the destination for the North American markets.
The Tobago Tourism Agency also plans to attract regional tourists. Already on TTAL's agenda is a road show set to take place in Barbados, as well as a press trip for Barbadian journalists.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly. updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denicia. Let's go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hail me neighbor. 60,000 people strong, and the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power, we are people in the sun. We are beaches, we are rivers, we are
Good morning, and welcome to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. Guys, you know, whenever you see me sitting here, it's because we're about to have those conversations that you want to have to get your morning started, and I'm going to ask those questions that you want asked. Now, before we get into those conversations this morning, we're going to get into our news in 90 seconds, which is courtesy Coconut Cafe on the ground floor of the Port Mall. So, guys, in this morning's news segment, Trinidad and Tobago is a fitting place to celebrate the CARICOM's 50th anniversary, according to UN General Secretary Antonio Guterres. He applauded the country for its strength and diversity. According to Guterres, the Caribbean is an example of the power of a shared moral voice for global change. While Guterres was at the news conference at the Diplomatic Center in St. Anne's, he commended TNT for initiating the General Assembly resolution on women, disarmament, non-proliferation, and arms control, which acknowledges the contribution of women to furthering peace and security. Meanwhile, the UN is working with TNT on a multidimensional vulnerability index to ensure sufficient support is provided in the face of immense external shocks. Additionally, beginning July the 24th, Caribbean Airlines would be starting to serve the Eastern Caribbean. New non-stop services between Barbados and St. Vincent as well as St. Lucia will be added. In addition to the 4 additional weekly flights between Barbados and St. Lucia, there will now be 7 weekly flights between Barbados and St. Vincent. These routes will be serviced by the airline's ATR 52 fleet, comprising 9 aircrafts, further demonstrating its dedication to the connectivity of the region. And finally, the Secretary and Assistant Secretary and Administrator in the Division of Education, Research and Technology extend congratulations to 1,048 students who wrote the SEA exams in the Tobago Educational District. These students had to acclimatize to online learning in their formative years of primary education, which results show success. Despite results of higher portal traffic, as nervous parents checked in to acquire results, all parents were finally able to view their children's SEA results. And congratulations was extended for all these children who are transitioning into high school. And that was on News in 90 Seconds, brought to you by Coconut Cafe.
Coconut Cafe, the buffet restaurant that specializes in all your tasty local dishes. For breakfast and for lunch. Breakfast includes coconut bake and sada roti, served with chokers, buljoil, and sausages in tomato sauce. Not forgetting beef and cheese pies, shepherd's pie, macaroni pie, and rice in various styles. Meats served in a variety of flavors, garden salads, and pasta salads. All this accompanied by fruit juices, coconut water, your choice of a great combination to appease your taste buds. So call us today to order, as we are here to accommodate your busy schedules or if you are having a cooking day off.
Guys, welcome back to Good Morning Tobago. And so this morning we're having the conversation on the Tobago budget proposal that has been put forward by the Chief Secretary last week. And to have this conversation with me this morning, I have a person who is no stranger to the set here. And on economics, we have Dr. Vanis James. Good morning, Dr. James.
Good morning.
He's a very prominent economist here on the island. And this morning we're going to be talking about the budget that was put forward last week by the Chief Secretary, Farley Augustine. And you had a number of things to say. You had a number of comments, and you criticized the offering that was put forward in the budget and in a number of areas. But to start off, we're starting off with the big ticket item, which is the 4.1 billion. And one of the comments that you made was that 4.1 billion seems to be somewhat of a fairy tale, and the current administration asking for a bit too much. Give us some of your views.
Well, I didn't say a bit too much.
Okay.
I'm saying it's not clarified what makes sense in the proposal.
Okay. Well, that's good for us to clear up, because we know that you have always been a key proponent of Tobago getting Tobago's just share. So to think that you would oppose $4.1 billion is quite contradictory to what you
When
have
you're
stood for.
budgeting, it has to make sense. It has to make sense to Tobagonians. It has to make sense of the problems you're solving. And it has to make sense to the government in Trinidad, because we have to offer leadership to them in understanding what has to be done here to transform both Tobago and the national economy.
Right.
So when you put out the figures, it's not just simply you want a fair share. It must make sense. It must make economic sense to both Tobago and Trinidad.
Right.
And that's the main concern I have with this request, the gross figure.
Okay, excellent. And to introduce the budget, the Chief Secretary would have gone into his economic outlook, as well as some of his strategy for sustainability moving forward. And he would have looked at prosperity, resilience, and sustainability as being some of the key pillars for the economic strategy moving forward for 2024. However, in your criticism, you would have highlighted that there was a lack of strategic direction. So please clarify that as well, in regards to what the Chief Secretary had put forward in regards to the strategic policy agenda for building the economy moving forward.
It is normal best practice, if you want good outcomes, to fit a budget into a medium-term policy framework, at least a medium-term expenditure framework. That normally would fit into a development planning framework. And this budget made no mention of that kind of embracing framework. That's the first thing. Secondly, what you normally would provide the public is a proper situational analysis. The public should get access to a review of the economy of Tobago, and let that review tell you why we budget the way we do. What's the situation we are in? If we're doing well, we budget to double down on it. Mm-hmm. If we're doing badly, then we budget to fix problems and get on a new path. And it normally makes good sense to provide the public a review of the measures you took last year. Remember last year I came on this very set and complained that the budget lacks structure and rationale. And the measures that are proposed were not likely to yield good fruit because of the way the budget was produced, was prepared. So you normally would need to produce a review of the measures you took to say whether they worked or whether they didn't work. All of that is missing. You have no review of the economy, so we, the rest of the society, are all guessing.
Right. And when you say there's no review of the economy, do you mean in regards to a strategic document that lays out everything? Because in the introduction, he did do a outlook of the Tobago economy.
What government would do, if you look in Trinidad, you would see the practice. What government would do is publish an independently, professionally prepared review of the economy. So you know what the situation is, not from the mouth of the politician, but from the mouth of the professionals who are measuring what's happening in the economy. That's completely missing. That is a public document you normally publish outside of the budget statement.
Right.
It's not in the budget statement you put what a politician wants to say. You give the public the facts. Remember, you're working for us. Okay. So you give us the evidence and you say, this is why I'm budgeting the way I am. And you also publish the second document I mentioned. The other two, in fact, the review of the economy. You publish the review of fiscal measures or budgetary measures more generally, and you publish the medium-term framework, all of which the public should have, so we could judge whether you're doing a good job or mishandling our affairs.
Correct. And seeing that we have not come to the end of the 2023 financial period yet, do you think we can still look forward to that being produced by the administration?
Well, this is a document you would produce for 2022.
Oh, okay.
2022's data would drive budgeting for 2023 from an annual perspective. And if you have quarterly data, you will produce your quarterly data 2022 plus first quarter of 2023 and let all of that inform what you're doing in the budget. So if those facts are missing, and if they are critical facts that are missing, then it means you're budgeting by guess and you're doing a wish list rather than structured budgeting driven by evidence, which is the normal best practice around the world. When you look at this budget, the costs of not doing what I am saying there is very self-evident in the budget. The Chief Secretary, in his review of the Tobago economy, his outlook, made an important initial observation that Tobago produced $1.65 billion worth of output in 2022. But the Chief Secretary runs the finance division where the data is produced. And that division sent me the data. So I know the Chief Secretary had access to the data showing that last year, as in 2021, the Tobago economy produced $1.68 billion worth of output. So what the Chief Secretary failed to tell the people of Tobago, right? And I think of that as malpractice, failed to tell the people of Tobago that the Tobago economy declined by 2% in his first full year of responsibility in 2022. Now, remember, we removed the P&M for producing a $1.68 billion economy and treated all that as poor performance. 16,000 of us came out and said, this is unacceptable. So now when your first year has passed and you have the data, why not bring it to the people of Tobago so we could know that the budget is seeking to address a real, this is an economic crisis we have on our hands.
Economic crisis, we're talking about the 2%.
Whole year. Remember, we normally talk about a recession being 2 consecutive quarters of decline. This is the whole year, 4 quarters. Over the whole 4 quarters, you're talking about a 2% decline. And that's just the overall economy. When you look at the segments that decline and the impact it had on people's wages, you would be very concerned that the Chief Secretary mentioned none of it. Whether it is because he didn't have access to the data, he's not a professional economist, or his team didn't do the work, same khaki pants because he's responsible.
Excellent. And you also did the figures for the previous years as well. So can you tell us what the trends were from about 2019 coming forward in terms of the economic decline?
In 2019, right, running into 2020, we were producing about the 1.61 billion. That increased under COVID a little bit. And then that's the 2021 figure that I gave you. So it moved. If you're looking back into the past, you want to find yourself heading towards a better position than 2021, rather than back to 2019. Right. But if you continue the 2% decline that occurred last year, you would head back to the 2019 1.61 billion. That is completely unacceptable. We removed the P&M for underperformance. Remember back in 2018 and 2017, the economy was giving you 1.7 billion and so on. So
I see that in 2018, we had a 3.9% decline in the Tobago real GDP.
That's what I'm saying.
In 2019, we had the 1.9.
Those are the things that we...
And then we had a significant decline that year of COVID, which was 2020, with the 5.7. Exactly. But as we come out of the COVID-19 period, even in 2021, 2022, we understand that it takes time to stabilize the economy. And there were a number of measures that you had recommended. Let's talk about some of those measures, because I know that strategy entails a long-term strategy and a medium-term strategy to help the economy to recover.
But let's be fair to the PNM first. I hold no brief for them, but they got the economy on an upward trajectory with the COVID excuse, remember. So it rose from the 1.6.1 billion all the way up to 1.68 billion. And Tobagonians still found that whole environment completely unacceptable economically. We saw it as a general depression.
But
so
can we
back
account
down,
that to the PNM, or can we account that to the fact that there were a number of mechanisms that were put in place from the central government after COVID recovery to assist with the economy, like a number of
but they were
bailout
managing
plans?
in Trinidad, they managing in Tobago, they were really running the whole place. So in principle, you have to basically credit them but we in Tobago felt the effects of the 1.61, felt the effects of that overall environment and said this is unacceptable, quite apart from all the other reasons, poor governance and so on, that we used and campaigned against them for. My point to you and to the people of Tobago is let the facts speak and you decide what they mean. In 2021, when we removed the PNM, the economy was performing at 1.68. In 2022, it's performing at 1.65. Why shouldn't the Chief Secretary be transparent to the people of Tobago and tell us the situation we are in? If Comimbo did that in Trinidad, they'd hang him. There is no reason Farley should be given a blight. He should be transparent. We employ him. And not to us we employ him, we pay him full pay. And there is no excuse being young and all of that sort of stuff, because we're not paying you half pay, we're not giving you half your allowances, and so on. Neither Farley nor any of the secretaries. Everybody receiving full pay, so there is no way to say, okay, I am young, I need time to adjust and so on. Now, to regard to your question about the time it takes, if you're budgeting to address the fact that you will need some time, maybe 4 years, that's the reason you put out a medium-term expenditure framework that sets out where you're going over the next 4 years. And this year's budget will be viewed as step one in that 4-year move.
Right.
If you don't do that, how do we know as Tobagonians that the things you are proposing will yield a better future? The way they budgeted this year is the same way they budgeted last year. It produced no gain, no growth. It produced decline. Why should we expect progress if you don't set it out properly in a medium-term framework? You can't. This will be completely irrational for Tobagonians to expect any progress.
Understood. But could we have seen that same level of upward economic growth had we had the same type of bailout strategies that were implemented in 2021? Because if we could look back at it, we could see that a number of international agencies had invested in Trinidad and Tobago's economy to help us with that COVID-19 recovery strategy. And that money was sent to Tobago for healthcare and to help boost the tourism industry. So it can be said that that capital injection would have assisted with the upward economic trend that we saw. But we don't have that happening now. Actually, we have a situation where we are begging Trinidad for what we are just due at the central government level, which is something that the Chief Secretary continues to say in regards to that is the 200 million that we still have not gotten.
Well, let's come back to the begging Trinidad story.
Right.
That needs careful thought, because we don't want any hoodwinking at the Tobago public. At least not when I am the economist hanging around.
Yes.
But on the matter of whether injections could make a difference, you have to look at two sets of data. First of all, you have to see what we spent the money on when we actually got it. And secondly, you have to look at the sectors of the economy that were affected negatively during the year. So that's the only way you would know why you are in a difficult situation and maybe why the decline took place. Now let's look at that evidence. And you would see from the data that was available to the government, published by the THA itself, that the government sector government run by Fali in Tobago largely, its output fell by 7%. Now, if you got a boost in funding coming to the government, and it spent the money and still produced a 7% decline, you'll have to ask yourself whether something is wrong with the way we set up the management of the economy, the way we handled our spending program, so that it could yield productive output. Maybe if you don't think through that properly, and you end up spending the money in a cavalier way, you get the 7% decline because you have to explain it somehow. It didn't happen by magic.
Right.
The other thing to mention here is a big decline, 35%, occurred in the construction sector, which is a big part of the economy. And that was directly, you can lay that directly at Fali's feet for his mismanagement of construction.
I'm glad that you brought that up. The reason why I'm glad that you brought that up is because my next question was going to be, can we attribute that to the fact that the level of debt that they came in to meet kind of held back a number of progressive development projects?
Well,
so the focus had to kind of be on paying off debt as opposed to really investing in new projects.
Well, let's take a look.
Can that be attributed to that decline?
Let's take a look at the evidence that we have.
Okay.
And not speculate. The evidence we have is that last year, Fali engaged in a full-fledged fight with the construction sector. Right? Now, that fight is all over whether you're contracting morally and you're not contracting morally and stuff like that. But if I am running the economy and I want to make sure money stays in our pocket, I put the moral issues aside.
Right.
Keep my construction sector functioning rather than shutting them down, right? And say to them, look, okay, you might have pursued corrupt practices under the PNM, but going forward under my government, those practices can hold. But I'm not running a church here. I am running the Tobago economy. And if I simply pull the rug from under them, which they complained about all year, you would find this 35% decline is a likely result. So it makes much more sense to me that the whole fiasco of the mismanagement of the sector last year will be more to account for this than anything you are describing as not having money because of debt and stuff like that. It is the private sector that felt the brunt of the way you handled the sector and could do no work. You know how many people from the construction sector would call me and complain? Not just the entrepreneurs, but also workers. This is the direct consequence of that. It didn't happen the year before when they didn't have much more money. It didn't happen the year before. We never saw this precipitous decline until this self-righteous approach to the management of the sector materialized.
And when we talk about a self-righteous approach, are you talking about the thrust towards the audit of?
Yeah, withdrawing activity from those who were accused, for whatever that means, of malpractice under the PNM government. So you shut them down effectively. That's really what I am talking about. Once you generate that effect, this 35% decline makes sense. Nothing else unusual happened to explain it. The THA has always been operating without large injections for development spending. And we never saw this precipitous decline before in the construction sector.
All right, okay. But well, we have to take a short break right here and we'll be back and we'll continue this conversation. So guys, I'll see you very soon right after this.
The energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear my neighbor. 60,000 people strong and the vibes is never wrong.
Jimmy's Holiday Resorts has 1, 2, and 3 bedroom fully self-contained apartments located at the heart of Crown Point. Minutes walk to the popular beaches, restaurants, bars, and the airport. Enjoy our amazing amenities such as fully equipped apartments complete with Wi-Fi, AC, TV, and a pool, and a mini-mart on the compound. Call 639-8292 or 8929. Jimmy's Holiday Resorts is your family's home away from home.
Right now, Tobagonians are just currying down to Bonaccord, right in Stobie Local Road. You know why? To come down and shop at Authentic Builders General Hardware, the only hardware store in Tobago that is giving you guys Trinidad prices. So for instance, such as steel, 1/2 inch and 5/8, $7,895. 5/8 construction ply for $260. Every single thing that you will need to do your home renovation or start your new construction, we have it right here. And to get your quotation, it's very easy. Just WhatsApp us at 272-1990 and we will do your free WhatsApp quotation for you.
Are you looking for a place for your loved ones? Heavenly Care welcomes you. Located at Northside Road opposite Massey Motors, we offer a variety of services. These include doctor visitations, social activities, geriatric care, and much more. Contact us at 277-9595 or visit us at Northside Road opposite Massey Motors. At Heavenly Care, compassion is at the heart of all care.
Advertise with Tobago Updates. Call 284-6597. If you have a small or large business, we can get your information in front of the masses. Reach our rapidly growing viewership on Facebook and YouTube. Promote your brand in Trinidad and the Caribbean through M&E TV Now and Gayel. Yes, we can build unique ads for your business. Call now 284-6597 and advertise with us.
Yeah. Hey.
Tobago Updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denasia.
Let's go.
Good morning and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. Guys, we have been having an extremely interesting conversation as I have been sitting with economist Dr. Vanessa James, who is no stranger to the set here at Tobago Updates, and we have been reviewing the budget presentation presented by Chief Secretary Farley Augustine in the House last week. And as we ended the conversation right before the break, we were talking about the morality argument behind that audit report and how it has affected the construction industry. Now, reading the comments, persons are saying that that morality argument that you are taking a bit lightly may be exposing a deeper corrupt network that has prevailed in Tobago for a number of years. And is this something that we should just kind of sweep under the rug and just move forward and continue engaging these type of contractors? Or is it something that needs to be dealt with in order to stabilize the Tobago economy not only now, but for the future?
Well, if you're managing an economy and you're not running a church, then what you try to do is, I am surely not an immoral man, and I'm not excusing immoral behavior.
Right.
But I would manage the situation in a way that doesn't produce a precipitous 35% decline. the proof of the pudding is in the eating.
Right.
The society cannot simply excuse incompetent management on the grounds that we need to keep our morality up. We always need to keep our morality up.
But Dr. James, what if we are paying $60 million to a particular contractor and then come back to find out that we only owed them, let's say, $20 million?
Well,
how long is it going to take us to get that money back into the Tobago
we
economy?
have given you the whole public sector to investigate these matters, plus the law. And you can handle the same situation in a way that allows you to keep the sector developing. My point to you is, when you're managing an economy, you're not managing a church. What you're doing is you'll make the deals, you'll work out with people, okay, maybe this is how you got away in the past, we'll let the law take its course. You'll do that properly and professionally. You're not preaching a sermon from your pulpit. You have to put accountants and lawyers and all these other people to deal with that issue as a matter of the past, if you wish to. But when it comes to going forward, you cannot be judge, jury, and executioner. And if I were running the THA, I would say to them, okay, we have questions, let the law take its course. Let the professionals engage you on those past practices. But going forward, when you're getting contracts from the THA, you will have to follow the procurement rules and tender properly. We have a proper process to ensure that those who get contracts from the THA under my watch get it on the basis of merit. None of that is what would lead to a precipitous 35% decline. My point is, you could approach it competently and avoid this precipitous decline. Look at what you produce. In 2021, the construction sector was 5% of the Tobago economy. In 2022, it fell to 3%.
But this is even with one particular contractor having a large monopoly over the construction sector here on the island.
It doesn't matter who.
The Chief Secretary kind of hinted to the fact that there were a number of professionals in the space when he did his media briefing that had come to him privately to encourage him to pay these contractors. Were you one of those persons advising that these contractors
Not
be
at
paid?
all. What I proposed to the Chief Secretary back in January or February last year when he raised the issue with me in his office, I said my approach to this would be to find an accountant, find a competent lawyer, find a competent economist, and put an engineer to make a team, and let that team handle the issue so the people of Tobago could see transparent, non-political processes at work to handle their business. That's the way I would have handled it. And that's the advice I gave Fali when he raised it with me. I was very careful then.
You don't think that the audit report does that?
No, because remember, you're governing it. And you have to set up the government in a way that allows the public to trust what you're doing. So the proposal that I was giving was a way for Fali to be able to say, the people at Tobago and their professionals have looked at this matter. You, the contractors, call this team. Don't bother to call my office. Here's a team to call that we are going to put in place as the Executive Council, and let them persuade Tobagonians that they are handling your business in a proper way. That's the way I would handle it, and that's the advice I gave. I pointed out then to Fali, be very careful, this is not a matter of pure morality. The hint I was giving is, if you don't handle it properly, you will get this precipitous decline effect that you're generating. And it doesn't matter how many contractors you're talking about, whether it's 1 or 10, one big one, or who. All of these are the people we have as a tiny private sector in Tobago. You have to go to them, sit down with them, and encourage them to invest. Don't forget that. And if you want to build a viable economy and avoid the 2% decline that we got, then you have to get investment going by these and other people. And you're not trying to get investment from people who are heading for heaven. You're trying to get investment from ordinary people who are all declared to be sinners. We're not caring whether they are sinners or not. What we care about is that they are going to invest money to build a viable economy so all of us could get rich, even as they are sinning. I have no beef with them and the church matters. I leave them to deal with that. I'm no expert in that. But I would tell you that if I were running the economy, this precipitous decline of 35% could not occur because of the methods I would use to handle the problem. And I gave Farley that as free advice back in January, February when he raised the issue with me in his office.
Right, and as you talk about private sector investment, that was something that you also raised your concern for the plan to engage the private sector in order to get that investment. However, during the budget presentation, the chief secretary would have indicated some of his plans to garner that private sector investment, being tapping into the diaspora, as well as a number of other strategies. Let's talk about that. When you say having a comprehensive plan about how to engage the private sector to get that investment into the island, and what are the limitations that currently exist to the type of investment that Tobago can receive from private entities?
Well, the data that Farley didn't tell Tobagonians help you to understand the answer to the question you posed. Because the data he had access to told him that finance and real estate in Tobago fell by 5% in 2022. Finance and real estate. Now, remember, if you're going to trigger and encourage investment, you need credit. Okay? The same data makes it clear that the credit unions grew by 7.8% in that same period when the banks were declining by 2.7%. The same data. Now, what that would trigger in my mind as an economist is this, and his professionals could have clarified it for him if he wanted to know. What that would trigger in my mind is that there is some secret to the way credit unions work that I want to take advantage of, because they are able to grow while the banks are declining. Banks become very conservative in the face of any economic crisis they sense. The credit unions, on the other hand, are really kind of specialized forms of development banking. They're organized to provide credit when times are brown. And that would give me a signal that Tobago needs a development banking facility to deal in the counter-cyclical investment process. So when things going down, they issue credit to worthy investors who come for help, and we could keep the economy moving forward, just like the credit unions tried to do. Now, none of that was represented in the budget data.
Okay.
And how do you then know what to do? You would know if you understood this data that you have to make a proper move to get a development bank set up in Tobago. Right. And that is a national project, not simply a Tobago project. So the way you engage the national government would have to be to put Tobago in the leadership and say to the Trinidad community and the government down there, look, for the country to develop, we now need a national development bank housed and established here in Tobago. We are half the country. We are telling you the country needs this. Come team up with us to establish the bank. Trinidadians could get access to it as well. But we're going to run it from over here to make sure that it runs in a clean way and does better than the Agricultural Development Bank.
Yes, and
that's what he would do.
This is a conversation that we have heard from this administration a number of times, and even I think last week there was an interview here on GMT with Chief Advisor Anselm Richards, and he would have indicated that in the meantime, until that is possible, they have begun discussions with the banking sector to provide loan facilities that are more accessible to Tobago businesses. So, and that seems to be a temporary or a medium-term solution to the whole Tobago Bank initiative, or the Bank of Tobago. But as you said, that requires a collaborative effort with the central bank, and the relationship doesn't seem to be there at this point in time to get something like that done.
Old talk is cheap. This is about competent analysis. This is about the kind of analysis that will allow you to know how, first of all, how to find the financing to establish a bank. A big part of the sourcing of the financing to establish a bank is to lead the government in Trinidad down the road of an appropriate approach to autonomy, so that Tobago could get a fair share of the national development budget. Right? All of this talk about 6% and 7% and 8% and so on is for the birds. You cannot find the financing for development that way. You have to get it by offering the country a proper explanation as to why we must reform the THA itself, so that Fali and his executive council could be controlled and overseen by non-executive members of the Tobago House of Assembly. That's central because it's also a lesson to Trinidadians.
So this goes back to the autonomy argument, or does this go back to the oversight committee argument? That
The autonomy argument, because why do you need autonomy? You need autonomy so that the non-executive members of the THA could make law to control the executive council. That's the central reason you need, that's the central meaning for good governance. If you don't have that, then the executive council will operate out of control and you'll get exactly the results we've gotten so far, with the excuse that we're young and we're lacking experience. We need time, although we're collecting full pay. So the key thing is that you've got to put competent people, and that just means really bringing all Tobagonians into the loop. 18 months into the canvas, into the operations, after we had gone to the people of Tobago and persuaded them to remove the people, remove the PNM, so that we could set up a good government in Tobago. Nothing has been done. So all of this thing really could come down to old talk. You really have to understand how to do things, not simply to say what Professor James had been saying since 1997, that we need a development bank. You need now to understand how to get a development bank going. And that first and foremost for Tobago is about getting the central government to work with you. Your biggest development project, which is missing in here really, is not a $6 million project. That's a $50-60 million project. Is the project to win autonomy. That's a long, expensive fight for Tobagonians to lead. And if you don't win that autonomy with proper boundaries, you cannot get the amount of development budgeting you need in order to support the initiative towards a development bank or a University of Tobago or any of those kinds of things. So you've got to understand that. You've got to set up the government now in a way that allows everybody who understands anything to come to the table and bring their information. This is not about any single economist in the division or in Tobago. It's not about Vanus James or anybody else. It's about everybody having a view and bringing the view to the process to guide the inexperienced, what Rowley called the inexperienced executive council. That's what you need.
Excellent. And we're going to take a brief break here, guys, and we're going to be back right after this, and we continue with lots more. See you soon.
Passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear me neighbor. 60,000 people strong, and the vibes is never wrong.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your nice can't get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. Don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry. If your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. If sickness catch you off guard, I tell them never ever worry. If times fall on you real hard, I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil will always be here for you.
Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax, we will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
is how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up below. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show. Live more. Yeah. Hey.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denicia.
Let's go.
It's a brand
Good morning, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago as we wind up here this morning on our conversation. We've been having a quite interesting discourse here this morning with economist Dr. Vanessa James, as we have been reviewing some of the effects of the proposed budget that was presented in the House last week by Chief Secretary Farley Augustine. We would have gone through a number of things in a quite short space of time. I'm proud of us. We've gotten through a lot. We've gotten through a lot this morning. But one of the things that we want to touch on before we leave this morning is one of the points that you have raised about the decline in real earnings across income groups on the island, and how this has really impacted the grassroots, and why these things are not necessarily highlighted at the budget level. But my question to you is are these things that should be highlighted in the budget or in those documents that you would have indicated earlier are missing as a preamble to the budget?
Well, how would you know how to budget if you don't explain to the people, and if you don't take account of the fact that in 2022, real incomes in Tobago, household earnings, the CSO goes out, they sent me the data, and the government has access to it. They sent me data showing that from the random sample of earners in Tobago, wage earners and so on, right? Not profits, mainly wage earners. Real wage earnings, wages, salaries and so on, emoluments and all of that, fell by 6.1% in 2022. Now, that's not just an innocent average figure, you know. Poor people took a bigger hit than rich people. Their real incomes fell by 8.5% last year. Now, if I am the chief secretary and I'm going to try to help Tobagoans, I'm going to say, well, you know, things wrong, you know, things this what happened last year. Real incomes fell, poor people take a big hit. So that's why we are budgeting the way we are. You cannot treat Tobagonians as though we are all ignorant. You have to bring the evidence and just use that evidence to justify what you're doing in the budget. And in my view, failure to do this is nothing short of malpractice. Remember, they didn't publish the review of the economy. They didn't publish the review of the budgetary measures. They published no medium-term framework. And now they are saying we're going to budget without any of the critical evidence that would guide you as to what to do.
Excellent. But you had stressed on that 2% decline earlier.
Yeah.
One of the points that were raised in the House last week during the budget debate by the Chief Secretary, he indicated that that was an attempt to mislead because there was a 6% increase in nominal GDP. So help us to understand the difference between the two for us, the layman.
Well, from the data that I saw there, that they published and they sent to me and they calculated and would have given to Farley, you want to understand, when you're talking about nominal, you're talking about money measures. But when you're talking about real, you're talking about the actual output you produce. It's the actual output that fell. So what I am really getting access to spend, to consume, the real worth of it, that every household experiences when they go to the supermarket and they find that they go with $100 this week and it could only buy them what $200, what $50 would I buy last year? That's what really you're talking about. And that's what poor people feel. And that's why people keep things in their core and tell the government a piece of their mind the first chance they get, which may be the next election. But people feel this pain. When real incomes among poor people, how is it misleading to know and to tell the public that the poorer half of our income distribution, right, the people earning on the lower half of the distribution, experience a 8.5% decline? Well, even if you think Vanos James is misleading the public, poor people will feel it, and they will know. And then middle income people who make up the bulk of the voters who swing when the election time come up. Next election, they're going to remember that in 2022, they experienced a 7.7% decline in their real incomes. They could buy 7.7% less in real value. That's really what it means. So telling us the money...
The GDP is so that's the real GDP. That's 2%.
Yes, well,
and the nominal GDP. Explain to us what the nominal is.
It's just a money measure, but remember, prices change. So what we have is a real output. You produce so many plantains, so many bananas, and so on. That's what you're really trying to measure. And you will use the market prices to measure that. And when you do that, you have to take account of the fact that the market prices will change and corrupt your measure. And so the statisticians know that you have to correct for that to measure the amount of plantain you produce, right? And the amount of real services. So when they say that the government's output fell, even if the government spent more money, right, the value it produced in terms of the value of the services, that's what fell. So in other words, they're less productive.
Right.
And the data shows you that the THA's productivity fell in 2022 under Farley. Now, you have to tell the public. My point to you is there is nothing to gain. Nobody gains, including you, from failing to report properly to the public. And I want to remind Tobagonians, if Comimbot reported like this in Trinidad, Trinidadian journalists would hold him to account. Why is it that Tobagonians are looking to say, we're paying you full pay, we're not giving it, but you're inexperienced? Now that nobody says Comimbot inexperienced and not an economist, why when he budgets and makes mistake. Right. He defends himself by saying all the rest of us are paper experts. Well, when Vanos James goes out there and puts out evidence based on what the CSO and their unit produces, that's not paper expertise. Those are the facts. And you're not making up your own facts. I'm not making up my own facts. I'm bringing the facts Farley has access to, and the CSO will have made available to them and to me.
Right. And I would have really liked for us to go in a little bit and talk about the contribution of Tobago and the whole Calypso field. But unfortunately, we don't have the time this morning. We have run out of time. So hopefully next time when you're back on with me.
You got the main point.
And we can definitely get into Tobago's contribution to the national GDP as opposed to what is being said that we actually contribute. That would be a really good area for us to explore. So I hope that we can.
We could explore that in a very adequate way.
Excellent. So maybe hopefully next week we can have that conversation if you are available.
If you wish.
I think that's a really interesting conversation for us to look into what Tobago actually produces as opposed to what is reported that we produce, especially with the projections for that Calypso oil field out there off of Charlottesville. And one thing that was really interesting that I saw in that article that was produced by Woodside in regards to how much money the Angostura field produced, they specifically indicated that the Angostura field is 38 kilometers off of Trinidad, while indicating that the Calypso field is 217 kilometers off of Trinidad and Tobago. So I think it's interesting for us to even look into how they define where the oil finds are. Well, because in the Angostura case, it's off of Trinidad. But
sleep on it, but let me remind you that under the laws, we have failed to fight to change so far. Under Farley too. Tobago, it has a 6 nautical mile boundary around it. So the oil and gas fields north of Tobago, which we naturally think of as Tobago, legally are not in Tobago.
Excellent.
And we have to be very thoughtful about that because that's my fundamental case about autonomy.
Yes. So, guys, unfortunately, we have run out of time and we have to run this morning. So, thank you for staying with us. Thank you guys so much for staying tuned to Tobago Updates. And we are going to continue this conversation very soon. Again, thank you for liking, sharing, and commenting and for being a part of this discussion. Have a great day. And we look forward to seeing you again soon.
The energy filled the sky.